No,
I assume you don't support Trump's trying to get critical race theory out of federal funded
Okay, so
programs.
that was the first time I found out that Trump actually, I didn't even know that was a part of the American, it's a part of job training, right? Or a part of
No,
critical job training.
what he did was he there's like if it's a federal government position, they have these racism training and all these things.
Hmm.
It's not like part of job training that there's going to be some sort of race seminar, but there could be. And they said that they can't have any of these race seminars be based on critical race theory.
But is he using the same, like, do you know what the critical race theory curriculum was? Like, I'm just curious how much that was actually based upon like the original
No, it
works.
wasn't aimed at like a specific example of saying like, oh, these people did a critical race theory. They can't. It was just the ideas of critical race theory are not allowed to be used in uh,
And I mean,
government
I
funded
would say that would,
programs.
yeah, I would say that probably, like in my opinion, is a negative bad. I would prefer that as being taught as part of any kind of, I don't know if it's in job training or what in the United States, but that was the first time I found out about that. Like, to be honest, once there was a huge right wing, cry out about this. That was the first time I'd actually learned that was being taught. So
Okay, so I guess I kind of curious to go back to the original question was how do we solve how does critical race theory pose the answer to solving racism if it's not through the government and liberal democracy, et cetera, et cetera?
right. So it talks about how, and when I use white supremacy here, I don't want to get like too deep into this because when you hear white supremacy, you're probably going to think it's front loaded as if it's like,
Well,
someone who
it
thinks
can
that
be. I mean, it's a very
yeah,
vague
of course,
term.
totally. So let me say that there's the Webster's dictionary definition, right, which is a white, someone who thinks the white race is superior and wants to subjugate the other races. That's the textbook definition of white
Right.
supremacist. When they bring up white supremacy in critical race theory, it's different. It's about how there are these systems and structures in place that uphold what is categorized as the white race
yeah,
as basically having more power over other groups.
you're a
Like,
white
would
supremacist by that definition.
absolutely, all three of us are.
Right.
Well,
Yes,
I'm not, but you
that's what
are.
critical race theory, right? That's what, yes, but by definition, that's what critical race theory stipulates, and that's why
Well,
when people try to talk about,
I don't agree with the
okay,
definition though. But if you agree with the
No,
definition, you are definitely a white supremacist.
right.
well, there's a difference. We're upholding the structures of white supremacy, not that you are necessarily a white supremacist, but that is, yes, that is how that works.
Yeah.
That's and that's the problem because
So
at the
we
end
have
of the day,
one white
racist.
supremacist here, Sitch. What are we gonna do?
Oh, the got 'em.
We,
So
we're
are you going to talk to me about
platforming.
UBI?
Are we going
Are
to get
you
in
going to talk to
trouble?
me about
Are we
UBI?
going to get in trouble for
I
platforming
guess
this
I wouldn't
white
be your friend.
supremacist Sitch? I don't know.
I
I
hope
hope
not.
nobody clips
Well,
this out.
it's okay. I'll use my Jewish privilege to
Oh,
say
okay,
that
good.
I'm an oppressed minority in the conversation.
We'll get out
So
of it.
Nice.
So,
get
so
out
do
of
you,
it.
but do you agree with
But
this
wait, so
definition? Oh, go ahead, Sitch.
so
I'm sorry. I keep
no, I mean
interrupting.
obviously I no, but I don't obviously I don't agree with that definition, but I agree that that's critical race theory's definition. Sure.
Sure.
Yes,
But
So
we
do you
understand.
guys do you guys believe in the idea that there is like, okay, first off, do you believe that race is a social construct?
What do
We'll
you
start
mean
there.
by that?
That
I
we've
know,
invented the
it's like-
concept of race, that we characterize humans based on things like melanin in our
Well,
skin,
I mean,
where at
obviously
the end of the
we've
day there's no
right.
such thing as races.
So the reason I asked you that is because the definition of social construct is not an agreed upon concept. Like, is the sun a social construct or is it not a social construct?
I would say it's not a social construct.
Okay, so is the difference between the sun and the moon a social construct?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
Nice.
right. So then, yeah, under that, I agree that yes, obviously human beings decide to group people according to skin color, which is not,
Makes it
that's a social
construct.
construct on that basis. Sure.
Okay. Good. So based on that, like, historically, we invented the concept of the white race in order to justify subjugating
There-
other races. In essence, subjugating
When did
black
that
people while
happen?
we were enslaving them. It happened around the time of the North Atlantic slave trade, and that's basically where the literature started coming forth. to
Tell me
talk
what
about-
books you've read on this. I'm super curious about that. I just recently read the book Black Rednecks and White Liberals by Thomas Sowell, who goes
sounds
into this a
interesting.
lot. Yeah. I've read Why Nations Fail, which covers a lot of the history. I've read Guns, Germs, and Steel, which covers a lot of this history. What have you read on this
I've also
topic?
read Guns, Germs, and Steel. That's a great one. Well, let me pull up. Sorry, if it comes to the actual book where we found out that we definitioned it, the Invention of the White Race is the actual name of the book itself.
Okay, so it's a lefty thing. It's like it probably dives deep into critical race theory and that kind of
I
stuff.
don't know if it's necessarily a lefty thing, right? Like,
What's
when you
the name of
said,
the
if
book?
you want to ask me for a good book on the history of the United States, I would tell you should probably read, like,
Invention of the
Howard
White
Howard
Race.
Zinn's, for example, like, the People's History of the United States.
Well,
That would be a
that's
really
what the
good jumping
debate
off
is
point.
over, though. Yes, the debate is over which of those narratives is going to be taught in schools is going to be the consciousness of America going forward. So I feel very
Is it
funny
going to be taught in schools? I didn't know that was something that was coming forward.
Well, they're trying to. That's why Trump is trying to get. That's why Trump is against critical race theory, because it's racist.
So explain how critical race theory is racist? I'm curious about that.
It's because it's saying that everyone who's white is upholding white supremacy.
Yeah,
Literally using your skin color to.
Oh, so
justice.
it's not saying that they're doing it as an intent. They're not doing it with malice. They're doing it like subconsciously.
Well, that's not
in many
quite
ways.
what Derek.
Some people
Bell
are.
says.
Some people do.
Wait. Derek Bell specifically said, and the reason that he thinks liberal democracy can never solve racism is that he believes white people would never vote to help black people unless it helps their own interests. So that is kind of the basis of critical race theory.
Well, no, that's one like is that a direct quote? Probably. I was going to
that was his. I mean, that was his whole point of his alien slave trader allegory. That's the most popular one.
Okay, so what do you categorize as white? Maybe define that.
Well, it's not what I categorize. It's how Derek.
No,
Bell
I know,
and
but I'm
critical
asking
race
you.
theory
I know, but I'm just asking you as a person.
Someone who has white skin.
And that by definition is, see, when people talk that way in terms of race, that's when it gets complicated, right? Because you wouldn't just say like, I want to represent let's say Irish pride. Like I take a lot of pride in being Irish, but saying that I take a lot of pride in being white would be different, right? You're then giving yourself that classification based on, again, as we already agreed, the socially constructed idea of race.
Yeah, neither of us believe that there's a magical unified white culture.
Yeah,
I mean, we've actually argued with many people about this. So yeah, I agree with that. Sure, there's no magical unified white pride, white culture, et cetera, et cetera. So there's American pride, there's American culture.
Yeah, absolutely. No, yeah, and that's a good point.
There's Canadian culture, I assume.
No, it's
probably
made up.
not.
We're not a real country. It's,
Right.
It's fake. Yeah,
it's a fantasy culture.
It's a fantasy culture. I've established that. But anyways, back to your original question, when it comes down to what exactly can be done in order to stop upholding these structures. The richest people in the world, when you say like there's a system of white supremacy, yeah, they happen to be white, right? The majority of politicians in the United States, the most powerful country in the world, happen to be white. That's what they're referencing when they're saying that there is a system of white supremacy, and that system bears all the way down throughout hierarchical structures.
Okay, I don't know what this is a point relating to.
Well, you originally asked me.
Oh no, it was relating to Adam said that critical race theory is racist, and you said it's not. And then I said it is because Derek Bell believes XYZ. But I mean, I guess this is the problem I have with a lot of critical race theory and a lot of these kind of, I don't know what to call them, woke grievance studies, is that there's a lot of kind of Mott and Bailey definition game where someone in the field, makes kind of a very strong claim like Derek Bell, and then you say, well, that's racist. And then you say, well, no, it doesn't mean that. It means this other thing that's kind of innocuous. It just means the structures of white supremacy in our society. But that's not what Derek Bell means. That's not what a lot of the writers involved in critical race theory mean.
I was going to say there's a lot of writers. It's like it's a field of study that's been growing for time now.
Right. I don't remember the guy. Who's the guy that wrote the book that everyone cites for critical race theory?
I have a question about
I have it bookmarked.
The white supremacist definition that you were putting forward with critical race theory.
Sorry, which one? The first one or the second one?
The second one, obviously, that's the one that's contentious, right? The idea that all institutions are based on white supremacy. If you have a majority population that's white and you tear down all of the institutions and you rebuild them and there are still majority white people building these new institutions, how are they not still white supremacists by the same definition?
So the idea of, like, say, abolishing not just the institutions but the idea of race itself, the idea behind that being is that we have to get rid of the very classification of people within
by
these
race.
racial categories.
I'm all for it, but then we have to dissolve the Congressional Black Caucus, and they're probably gonna have a fucking conniption fit over that.
Yeah. Wait. So you're saying it would just be one then the other? Like we're gonna do X and then right away.
Well, there's no Congressional White Caucus, and I think that's good. So I mean, if you're here saying I would like to dissolve the idea of race, count me in, man. I'm game for that.
Nice. All right.
Well, it seems like that's been the project though for the last.
Can we do gender next?
Well,
or
wait a
is
minute.
Is that too far?
Well, we could actually, but
Yeah?
critical race theory is against that.
Yeah,
critical
race
doesn't
theory
want
is
to
the
abolish
opposite
race.
of that. Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, no.
Derek Bell's thing is ironically called racial realism. He doesn't think it is abolishable.
Racial realism. You'll have to send me a link for that. I haven't read on their theories on gender, but yeah, please.
This is our problem with critical race theory, is that it's fucking racist. It's goddamn racist, and we want to abolish the idea of race. They used to call it a colorblind society, but these days, White Fragility, Robin DiAngelo, they're making the argument that the idea of colorblindness is racist. So it appears that the people who are trying to abolish the concept of race have been called racist.